What's up, guys? Welcome back to Inside Out Precision. Today we are going to go over something that I get asked a lot of questions on, and I think it causes a lot of concern for newer shooters. And that is what to do when your bow stops making peak weight. Meaning, if you buy a bow, it's at 70 pounds. After shooting it for 3 or 4 months, you weigh it again and it's making 66 pounds or 68 pounds. We're going to discuss how to get your bow back up to peak weight. A lot of people, when they message me, they think maybe like the limbs are going bad or something's, their timing is off. They don't know. It's not that something is going wrong. It's just the natural progression of your strings stretching. So most bows are going to come with, obviously, with stock. Well, all bows are going to come with stock strings. If the manufacturer is going to save you money and kind of skimp in one area, it's usually going to be the strings. So those strings stretch, you lose poundage. So today we're going to go over how to get that bow back up to peak weight. But before we do, I do want to mention InsideOutPrecision.com. If you head over there, we have all sorts of merchandise available. I know one thing we just added is beanies. I know it's getting colder here. It's November 4th today, and I think it's like 40 degrees outside. It's perfect hoodie and beanie weather. The holidays are right around the corner, so if you or somebody you love wants some Inside Out merch and wants to help support the channel, we greatly appreciate any purchases made. So back to the task at hand here. This is our demo bow, so this is our demo V3. This thing has had the absolute wheels shot off of it. So I'm gonna guess, we don't really mess with like tuning our demo bow because it's just about getting the feel of the bow. I'm gonna guess that this bow is probably only making about 66 to 67 pounds right now, even though it's got the 70-pound mods on it and I have the limbs completely bottomed out, so I can't turn these in any further. So I'm gonna weigh it real quick and we're gonna see exactly what this is making here. So turn on the scale. So this is a good tip. If you are weighing your bow on a scale, you never wanna go past the breaking point where it breaks into the valley. You do not want to take the bow to full draw. All we're doing here is getting it to peak weight. So I'm gonna come down. You'll feel when it's about to break over, right there. Yep, I was right, 67.2. So the bow is only making, get that turned, is only making 67.2 pounds. Now, if I was, if I bought a brand new bow and I bought a sight, let's say it was like a Spot Hog or really any sight for that matter. If I sight in when the bow is at 70 pounds and then after, a month or 2 months or 3 months, however long it takes, depending on how much you shoot, that bow goes down to 67 pounds like we just saw, you will notice at your further distances that everything starts dropping low. And that's because obviously, 3 pounds is probably 6 to 8 feet a second. It's not a lot, but it's enough that at 50, 60, 70 yards, you're going to start hitting lower. A lot of people think the bow is coming out of tune, which is probably true. If it's a new bow, you're definitely going to want to retune it after, I usually say, 300 arrows or so. But it could just be that your cables here. So these are the cables. This is your main string. These are your cables. If the cables stretch, it essentially lets these limbs come out a little bit. So you lose draw weight. You're taking preload out of the limbs when those cables stretch. So it's actually a very simple fix. All we need to do is add twists into these strings. So I'm going to set up the camera here and I'm going to kind of show you on the press here exactly what we're doing. So for those of you wondering, this is the Easy Green Power Press from Last Chance Archery. So we're going to put our bow in the press here. And when you're pressing your bow, you don't want to press it too much, obviously. That'll blow up your limbs. What you do want to do is get it just enough to where I can grab that string and it's got, a couple inches, maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches of play in it vertically. So what we're going to do is we're going to add, in order to increase the draw weight, we're going to add twists to each of the cables where they attach to the cam here. So you have the split yoke on top here. It's going to come down and attach to the bottom cam. So all I'm going to do is I just pull that main string off a little ways, take this off, and then we're going to add twists to the string. Now, you're going to want to make sure of the direction of the twist of your string. Most, probably 98% of the strings on the market are going to twist up to the right, meaning that if I'm standing with the loop that I attach to the cam in my hand, when I'm looking down the string from the loop, that string twists clockwise. I know on camera here it probably looks like I'm doing counterclockwise, but twists clockwise. So when we're adding twists here, you want to make sure you do it evenly for the top and bottom cam. And with most bows, it's usually 2 to 2.5 turns per pound that you're trying to gain. So if I'm 2 pounds less than 70, so let's say I'm at 68 pounds, I need 4 total twists. So that means I'm going to do 2 in the bottom and 2 in the top. If I need 3 pounds, I'm going to do 3 in the bottom and 3 in the top. So basically, you know, double the amount of twists than the weight that you're trying to gain. So in this case, we're at 67. I want to get to 70. I'm going to do 3 full twists here. So 1, 2, 3. We're going to reconnect that. Reattach that. Now I'm going to go to the top cam and do the same thing here. Now, this is where a lot of people mess up. They just twisted this one to the right, and then they grab this one, and they turn it the same direction. Like, so when I was standing here, I was turning the loop towards me. Then they come to this side, and they do the same thing. But if I'm looking at this loop, if I turn it this way, I'm taking turns out of it. So again, you always want to stand at the end of the string with the loop in hand, looking down the string. So we're here, and we're going to do another 1, 2, 3. Reattach this. Put that string back in place. Okay, so I've got both the cables reattached here. Anytime you're taking your boat in and out of the press, you're going to want to make sure everything is in place, especially with these Matthews. Like, they have these yokes that attach to the AVS system here. When that string goes slack, especially on a newer boat, those things will kind of come out. This boat's been shot so much, I'm pretty sure these are almost like cemented in place. But you always want to make sure everything is in its slots. You know, you don't have any single strands that aren't over the pegs here on the cam. And you'll notice that after you put those twists in it, that there's not as much slack in the string. And that's because as we shorten these cables, it's pulling these cams this way. So it's actually taking slack out of the string. So then I always kind of pull up on it. If you start pressing, like sometimes your string will be off like that. If you start unpressing and you feel that string slip, or like there's too much give all of a sudden, you know that something's not in the right spot. So make sure everything's good, which we are here. Kind of pull up on that string as you let it out of the press, just like so. So remember, so we were at 67.2. I just put 3 twists in each of the cables. So let's see where we are now. $70.14. So almost exactly what I was talking about. That, you know, like I said, generally speaking, about 2 turns. Stupid thing. There we go. About 2 turns per pound. So, and remember, you got to do top and bottom. So if you need 3 pounds, you're not going to do 6 turns in the bottom and 6 turns in the top. You're going to do 3 in the bottom, 3 in the top. So total number of turns between both cables should get you about 2 pounds. Now, I mentioned earlier in the video that let's say you have a 70-pound bow and you want it to go to like 72 or 73 or 74 or 75. Generally speaking, the limbs will be able to handle it, but as you start putting turns in those cables, essentially what you're doing is you're rotating that cam further. So when you draw, that cam is going to fall further into a valley. Technically speaking, like if I took a micrometer, you know, it's going to lengthen your draw length a little bit, and it's also going to decrease the amount of holding weight. It's going to increase your let off. So if you do this and all of a sudden you notice that like, your draw length feels a little bit longer than it did before, first what I would do is shoot it for like a week or two and make sure anytime you change something, it's going to feel obviously different. I don't think that you're going to notice it's such a minute difference. I mean, we're talking maybe a 64th or 32nd of an inch in draw length. You're probably not going to notice the draw length just by putting turns in the cables. But if for some reason you do and you want to fix that, then you would put turns into the main string. And when you do that, you always want to do it from the bottom cam. So let's say it felt, a little bit short, or excuse me, a little bit long. I would put my bow back in the press. I would unhook the string on the bottom here, and I would add like a twist or 2 twists. And it's literally, I mean, it's going to move your draw length like that. I actually have a video way back on the playlist here about how to micro adjust your draw length by using your main string. Personally, I don't like to add any more than take out any more than 4 twists, like in or out. If you take too many twists out, the V where your peep sight is here gets really, really big, and then when you tie it in, it wants to turn it one direction or another. If you put too many twists in, when you draw the bow and that let off happens, that string wants to, as it relaxes, that peep sight's going to turn, and your peep sight will, it'll start in a position like this, and then when you draw, it'll move all the way to the other side. So, if you need more than a 1/4 inch, you're better off, just putting longer mods on and playing with your D loop length. But it's a pretty simple fix. If you don't have a press, if your archery pro shop doesn't know how to do this, they probably shouldn't be a pro shop. It's really easy to get your bow back up to weight or give yourself a few more pounds. Now, I want to be clear here. You do not want to try to make a 70-pound bow an 80-pound bow by putting twists in your string. You're going to over-rotate those cams. Your limbs are going to be under way more stress than they were designed to be, and you're going to completely void the warranty. If I have a 70-pound bow and I put twists in it till I make it 80 or 82 or whatever, and those limbs break, they are not going to cover that under warranty. That's not what the bow's designed to do. But like I said, if you want to squeeze just a couple, maybe up to 5 pounds more, you can put 3, 4, or 5 twists in each of your cables and bump that peak weight up. So I hope that kind of clears up, A, why you lose draw weight over time, and B, how to fix it. It's a really common thing, especially with stock strings. Hoyts especially, like Hoyts stock strings are just stretch machines. It takes a good probably, 2,000 shots before those things will quit moving. These Matthews, the zebra strings, well, this is actually ghost gassed main string on this, but these are zebra cables. They seem to be a pretty darn good stock string. One thing I've actually noticed is on my PSE is it takes a lot more twists. It takes like 3.5, 4 twists per pound, which is odd. I don't know why that is. I think it's because the limbs, the way that they're curved or preloaded, it just takes more to move them. Not really sure, but I've noticed that. Same with timing. Like a half twist in one of these cables when I'm timing a Matthews will change the timing, an 1/8 to 3/16 of an inch. A half turn in my PSE moves it like a 64th of an inch. So don't know why, but if you have a scale and you're doing this at home, just keep adding twists till you get to your desired weight. So anyway, I hope this helps, guys. I know it's kind of a simple subject, but if you don't know, you don't know, right? So thanks for watching today. Remember to check out the Instagram over to InsideOutPrecision.com. Get yourself some merch. And as usual, remember, precision is a decision. Keep them in the middle, and I'll see you on the range.